Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to go over some of the stuff about the biomats with you because I know you're basically an expert. How long have you been using and selling biomats?
I bought my first biomat in 2004, and I've been using them with my clients since then, 15 years.
Okay.
So, long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to share it with you.
Well, you know I love coming and getting my sessions on the biomat. I have been for massages, also energy work, and I never realized what a big impact the biomat was having on my sessions. But now that I've learned more, even just looking back to my own experiences on the table, I can really see how that parasympathetic response was working along with your healing touch and the crystals and the aromatherapy to create this deep healing that wasn't just on the table, but then also lasting, I know for me, 24 to 48 hours after the session.
Right, yeah. All the benefits of body therapies are enhanced by the biomat, but a lot of people who have a biomat of their own, who they sleep on it, or maybe they do cat naps on it, or they lay on it extra when they're not feeling well or something, they realize the biomat has a lot of its own properties that help the body establish a lot of its own healing responses.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the biomat does amazing things for the body. It's not just a heating pad.
Mm-hmm.
And when you add the crystal therapy and the ion therapy in with the heat, it makes you feel amazing. And so people get off the table and they say, wow, I feel so much lighter. They feel great because of the massage, but they also have this feeling of lightness and not that they're floating, but just this feeling like the body itself is kind of freed up in a way that they don't have when they get a massage without the biomat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think some of that is related to the nervous system healing, and I'm sure you've heard me talk about it, and I'm sure a lot of you watching have heard me talk about parasympathetic response, really working with the body to come out of fight or flight, to come into this place where the brainwaves are balancing, our tissues are getting that regeneration. So many of us are sleep deprived, and so one thing that I find is any type of parasympathetic activation and response in the body, that most people end up having a really great night's sleep even after having that type of experience. So for people who have trouble sleeping, there's two things happening. They're getting the parasympathetic response, so they get healing that then allows them to have more restful sleep. But even for people who decide that they want to sleep on the biomat, that's also safe, right? And that can also help people to have a longer period of sleep.
Yes.
But what I'm also would love to know more about is some of the tips that you have for safe use, because I know for some people it might not be appropriate to sleep on it, and also depending on the levels, whether people are using the heat or not using the heat. If you could just
there's a lot of basics. Each biomat product comes with its own controller. Right here, this is the big one on the bottom here is the professional, and this is the mini, and the controllers are they all work the same even though they're different sizes. So the mini, I'll just show you with the mini, but basically each controller has temperature ratings next to each setting, and so the general understanding is that the longer you lie on it, the lower the setting. So if you plan on having a 4-hour nap or a 6 or an 8-hour time in bed at night, you're going to be putting something at the lowest setting or the lower settings, and a lot of people would naturally get too hot on a higher setting when you're trying to sleep anyway, so they just have it available, and then there's a timer so you can just set that 8-hour timer. For a lot of people, if they're really tense during the day, if they do a 20 or 30 minute biomat session on a higher setting, that helps to reset that parasympathetic and get them feeling more calm.
That makes sense.
And then, when they do go to bed, 4 or 5 or 6 hours later, and they leave it on that low setting, then they've already set up their system to be more relaxed.
Right, it's almost like a maintenance.
Right. And a lot of people say, you know, if you want to have good sleep, it's not just that thing you do an hour before bed. It's actually that yoga class, that meditation process, that, you know, the hydrating throughout the day versus right before, and things like that. Like it's to have good sleep, it's a 24-hour understanding. It's not just that time right before bed.
Well, and also let's just speak to safe use of the biomat in terms of hydration, because you just spoke to hydration as a key for improved sleep. And I know that I've had my own personal experience of coming for a session and not being hydrated the day before. I mean, even if I think about what it's like to experience altitude changes when I haven't, you know, it doesn't matter what I drank that day. If I haven't been hydrated for a couple days beforehand, my body really suffers. And it's the same with the biomat. If I'm not hydrated, then I tend to not feel well afterwards. So can you speak to that? Does it maybe share some of the what's happening at the cellular level?
Yeah, so anytime you're using any far infrared product, whether it's a biomat, any other kind of pad, or even a far infrared sauna, it's stimulating your body to detox, and it's stimulating your cells to do whatever processes that they haven't been doing. So the cells, you know, they take in nutrients and then they dump out waste, or what we call toxins.
Elimination.
Right. So they take in and then they eliminate. So if the body is stuck in, say, it's not in the intake part, the body's going to intake a bunch of stuff, including water. If you have a lot of if you have dehydration, then that is going to be an issue. If the cells need to release and the body's dehydrated, then it's actually going to put stress on the system to actually do that release. And so anytime you do any sort of far infrared, you want to be hydrating before and after.
I see.
Yeah. And so the safe use is basically how you would use any sort of heat product. If it's too hot, if it feels too hot for you, for your own, you know, comfort, turn it down. But also, if you're going to sleep on something, start out the lowest setting and set a timer so that it turns off. So if you really do fall asleep, you're not leaving yourself in the situation where you're waking up 4 hours later
overheated
or really, really thirsty. So you can just hydrate and start at a lower setting. So how I talk to everybody about this with the clients and then any friends or customers who buy a pad is that you start on the low settings until you get used to it. And there's 8 different choices. And so you're still getting tons of benefit on the lowest setting. And for the people who have been using their biomat for a long, long time, they can turn it up to the highest setting. And, you know, the highest setting says 158 degrees Fahrenheit. But because it's far infrared, it's not so hot that it feels like hot to the touch. And it doesn't heat up the room, it just heats up the pad and whatever next to it. So it's hotter underneath whatever material you have on top, but it's not heating up the room. So that's the same that it is with the body. So your own body is going to respond to the biomat in whatever way your body needs to. And so generally speaking, it relaxes, but for some people, they actually get really energized. They fall asleep, their parasympathetic shifts, they go into like this kind of zone where they kind of go from conscious down into, you know, theta, and then they come back out and they're refreshed.
Well, is that also because the aid of the cells not having to work so hard through this detox process, through the elimination process, then that's what helps to give them the energy? Do you think that's part of it?
I do. I think that's a good way to say it, that the body is getting a little bit of a boost. And for a lot of people, a lot of people who are sick have an issue with their blood sugar, where their blood sugar stays high, and so their body isn't digesting. And because the biomat and all infrared was created by NASA, because the sun is an infrared source, and so we nothing on this planet can live without sun. And so when they were starting to put people up in space and looking at, well, okay, they're going to be at the space station for 3 months, they created far infrared products in terms of keeping the astronauts healthy while
Right.
they were outside of the realm of getting rays from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
for
like you
people's
said,
bodies
people-
who are just
Right.
struggling.
And people who are stuck in that, you
Yeah.
were saying stuck in the higher blood sugar. It's,
Oh, right.
It's also, it sounds like, you
It
know,
helps with that digestion
right,
itself.
because that's the opposite of the rest and digest. People who are, you know, maybe you could call it high strung or really stressed. People who
Yes.
don't have that opportunity to really slow down or create work-life balance, to create the harmony that's really required for this shift in the nervous system. The biomat helps to make that happen without, you know, you can lay on it without getting a massage, without going to a spa. It's something that's really available for home use
Yes.
to create that healing environment.
Yeah, and they fold and they come with a carrying case, and this one just folds in half.
So
it's tiny.
This one here is the mini.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to also make sure that we show to everybody watching the difference between the mini and the pro. So I'm gonna just move the camera a little bit, but maybe if you come right back over here,
Mm-hmm.
you can also,
Should I just move this?
yeah, or just hold it up for us. Yeah, great. And so here we can see how the mini compared to the pro. So I know it might not be clear on the video because we have the pad. So maybe just showing that underneath this white pad is the pro size.
And this pad, this blanket comes with the biomat.
Yeah, and what's in the blanket?
The blanket is a nano silver technology woven fabric. It's 100% cotton.
So that's going to help to
So-
reduce any like microbial growth, any bacteria.
Right.
That's an all natural.
And they
way.
come with every biomat size comes with
Come over here.
their every biomat size comes with this fabric that fits that, and it's got elastic.
Great. And so, but can that be thrown into the wash?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you recommend usually putting something over, right?
I always put something over it.
Now, what if? So I know when you have people come for the massages, you have that Sherpa layer.
Mm-hmm.
I've been really curious. So, like, I have a feather bed at home. Would I still get the benefit of the infrared rays through a thicker, you know, cotton and
Absolutely.
natural material on
Absolutely.
top of the biomat?
As long as it's a natural material is best. If you don't have that option, then whatever you have is okay. But the more natural material is better. And so you'll see this one is all amethyst. This is the Biomat Professional 7000. This one is new in 2019. And the mini that you guys saw is a 2020.
Yeah, so the other thing that's great
And
is
they
come
all
with
fold up.
and they come with the carry case. So I think some people expect that this is a pad that they're going to be able to move around the house quite easily, but because it has the amethyst crystals in here and the infrared technology, it's pretty heavy. So I usually tell people I don't recommend that this is a choice that's going to be moved around a lot. It's like find a pretty flat surface where you can have it set up. So depending on how firm the couch is, that could be appropriate. Otherwise, if you have a massage table set up, that's really great because
Or a guest room, like
Or
a
a
guest
guest
bed.
room.
And so if you don't have a massage table or a massage room at your house, but you have a spare room, they make a single size that's a twin bed size.
So bigger than this.
So it's about the same length, but it's definitely wider by at least, it's a few inches wider.
So that would be great for
Yeah.
somebody who wants to sleep on it. I also know you were telling me you have clients who've purchased the Orgone Biomat, which is even more specifically made for people who want it super cozy for sleep, for the purpose
Exactly.
of being on their bed full time.
Yes, and it's very cushiony. It's almost like a gel. And so you put it right on top of your mattress, underneath your bottom sheet. It's meant to be slept on all night. And because it's got the orgone, in the multi-layers of the orgone, it's got powdered form of crystal in those layers. Instead of these are like big chunky crystals, and we took some pictures so you could see how big the crystals are.
I might even just bring the camera up to show.
So these are mined in South Korea. In fact, all of the crystals that they have in the regular use biomats are all mined in South Korea. I know there are a couple of new products that have extra crystals. I don't know where those are mined. I have to learn about those.
Okay. But also, just to clarify, the Orgone Biomat still has all the same technology, but then it has the added padded layer.
Right.
So it still has infrared, it still has negative ion, it still comes with the
controller.
The controller, yes.
Yeah, and the controller is special because it blocks EMFs.
Oh, can you speak on that?
Yeah, so the EMF, the electromagnetic frequencies that a lot of people are feeling sensitive around, and because we're living in a world with tons of wireless technology now, for certain people that's a really big concern.
Right.
And so if they are going to be lying on a heating pad, they want it to be a heating pad that's not going to be delivering EMFs into their body.
Right.
So they developed, I don't think they invented the EMF blocking technology themselves, even though they did develop a lot of this technology themselves.
Right, but they're including it in that controller because they know a lot of people who are focused on natural health, focused on detox, focused on how can I create harmony and balance in my body that's going to activate my own healing mechanisms. It's about usually it's about taking technology out of it. And
right.
Really we're putting technology in, we're taking the power and the electricity as a part of it, and so that's a way to
right.
counterbalance bringing electricity into the mix.
Exactly. It's like, if you're gonna go and eat a salad, you also want it to be organic. So they know that their customers want these pads, but they also don't want the EMFs.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've made sure that technology really, really works. Also, all of their products come with really great warranties, extended warranties, at least 3 years on all the materials, on all the pads, on the controllers,
right.
etc.
I know we've talked about that because they even have this really great policy where even if it's beyond the warranty, that you can pay a percentage to have it replaced. So this is so well made that this is going to last over 10 years, right?
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I hear a lot of people talk about is the other infrared mats that are on the market. And so, it's similar to the way that I feel about my essential oils. There's no comparison. This is a different product than what else is out there.
And this is the first product. Mm-hmm. These guys set the market, and so they've kept one step ahead of all of their competitors mm-hmm. over the years, but they're because they're always expanding their line. Mm-hmm. They've got the professional, the mini, the twin, a queen, a king of the biomat. They have the Orgone mat.
This exact shape, and then the Orgone with the puffy.
Right, and then they have
queen and the king.
Yes, and then they have items that you can put on the biomat or underneath the biomat for people who already have the heating.
Right,
so they have they've got the quantum pad, which is like the Orgone, but it's just like the pad if mm-hmm. you've already got the biomat. Mm-hmm. And then they have a new one, a bioacoustic pad that goes underneath. So that's for sound healing, mm-hmm. and it's got vibration and sound waves mm-hmm. and music.
Right. So you can hear it and feel it.
Yeah, mm-hmm. and it's meant to go underneath the biomat, so you don't have to, choose sound or heat.
Right.
So you get all of it. And just to clarify, if people don't know what negative ion therapy is.
Let's say that, yeah.
So negative ions, everyone's heard of, the benefits of being in nature, being at the ocean, because it's about the ions. And all molecules have a positive or negative ion. And so water is H2O. So there's two ions connected to the hydrogen molecule, and one's positive and one's negative. So if that negative ion drops out, then the whole molecule breaks down. You're dehydrated, but you also have free radicals. So when you have something delivering negative ions back to your body, you're actually receiving something that's that's coming into your system on a molecular level that is then recreating these oxygenated molecules in your body. And so we could do a whole segment just on that.
So that's like creating those bonds.
Yes, and these guys were the first company to combine far infrared wave technology with ion technology.
Okay, and so can you also just speak to what if it was a really hot day and I don't want the heat therapy, but I want the negative ions? What would I do?
Oh, well, they do have a setting where you would turn on the controller. You just wouldn't turn the heat setting up. But there is a light wave of the far infrared wave that is still delivered through the pad. Plus, you're still getting the ions, and plus, you're still getting all of the healing benefits of the crystals, which we haven't even talked about.
Okay.
But we can talk about that. We can do a whole segment on amethyst another time.
Okay, next time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So turn on the controller. No heat. Still get negative ions. Still get opportunity to relax, heal. And you're saying it's going to help to create these bonds at the cellular level.
Yes.
Do you think that even using that type of setting, it would help with something like sleep or stress?
Definitely, and also a lot of people who do look for ion therapy look for it for a mood. So it increases happiness. It actually improves mood.
Oh, okay.
Which is why you feel so good when you get back from the beach. It's
yes,
not,
right.
Even if it's not a sunny day.
Right, even using the air purifiers, it's another thing that I've heard in spas. You know, a lot of spas, they pump in the ionized air because it helps reduce inflammation, reduce pain. It just feels better.
Yes. And there's a whole, we can go into that another time too. So the thing with the Richway, Fuji Bio, the people, the parent company that creates all of the Biomat Amethyst products, is that they know why they've done what they've done. They know it's got all the science backing it up, and that's why they've created these products. And it's kind of like, who wouldn't want a bed with amethyst crystals from head to toe?
Yeah.
So
right. Well, and that's another thing, just to speak real quick, can you grab the mini again?
Sure.
Because I know when we've talked about comparing mini to the pro that, there is quite a difference. That it's much more narrow. It's not that you're just getting the upper body or the lower body. It's really, this is just going to be like a fourth of your body at a time. But you're not getting that full spectrum of head to toe. Actually, we didn't speak anything about the pillow, but come on over this direction a little bit more, and I just want to speak on a couple more safe tips for usage. That if somebody's on the mini, it will be easy to keep the head off. But what do you usually recommend in terms of the pro or larger sizes, and taking any precautions around the head?
Okay, so with the mini, it heats up all the way to the top because it heats up all the way to about here. Yeah. Minus where the labels are. So this isn't that much room for your head, but you're probably going to have a pillow of some sort here.
And to clarify, even though we only see the amethyst crystals here, they're throughout the whole pad.
Right. There's a ridge and you can feel them all the way through on the top layer.
So sorry, back to the heat in the head.
Yeah, so the regular Biomat, this longer Biomat, this whole top section about here doesn't have heat.
Oh.
And they've created a pillow that has the ridges. It has the alternating crystals of the amethyst, tourmaline, and it's in a chiropractor style pillow that's got the
nice contour.
The contour really pillow. Supportive. And so it keeps your head cool. So what they recommend is that you keep your head cool if you're going to do an extended time on the Biomat, and or have it on a low setting, because the brain really shouldn't get heated up real high. Most people are going to move, and this has been at my house and my cat has been laying on it.
Pets love them.
They will be...
Kids love them.
Pets, kids, everybody. So, usually they'll just get off if they get too hot.
Right.
But if you're falling asleep, that's another reason why those low settings are really important.
Mhm.
And so it's totally safe if for your whole body to be on the bottom mat on a low setting. It's fine.
So if somebody has, say, a knee injury and the knee is the only part that's really bothering them, would you recommend for them to do the Pro or the Mini?
I think it just depends if they have both in their house and they and it's a hot day, then they can just they can sit somewhere and just have the Mini underneath their leg.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of nice for spot treatments.
Mm-hmm.
The other day I only had the Mini available, and I was having like a mid upper back kind of tension, like a back of the thoracics between the shoulder blades kind of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just laid down so that my hips were here, and so I was just using it on the back.
Oh, okay.
And that was great. That's all I really needed. I didn't need it all the way through the legs. It's a totally different experience when you lay head to toe.
Right.
But when you need a spot treatment, there's this.
Right. And this is also great. The Mini does have its benefits in terms of like being able to move it around.
It's really easy to move around.
Easy to transport. Also, it comes with a case, so you could even travel with it.
Yeah. The case for the Mini is so small you could put it above, above in an airplane.
Right.
Type
And
of
even
small.
like if there was if you had a child who was going to be using it regularly, I think the Mini will probably be great for a kid.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like they're getting a lot of that kind of full body coverage.
As long as you know that you can't be jumping around on it.
Right, yes.
Which is another reason why the Orgone pad was created, I think. I mean, I haven't talked to the company owners about that in specifically, but I do know that the only thing that's really not great, the two things that are not great for the biomat are liquids, like you absolutely can't spill water on them.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't drink water, like a ton of water in bed anyway.
Right.
And then the second thing is you don't want to have it on a really soft thing and then having it jumped on.
Yeah, you want there to be a firm foundation.
Right, underneath.
Yeah.
Right, because really, all over Korea and Asia where they were originally created, people would just lay the biomat right on the floor, and then you would lie on it on the floor. Like imagine doing, your morning cup of tea, meditation, yoga, and then you lie on your biomat afterwards for 30 minutes.
Amazing.
And then you don't have to worry about that. You're still don't want to jump, but it's not the same as it bending on a soft.
Right.
Whereas the Orgone pad is really flexible and it's meant to go on the bed.
Yes.
And so if you jump on the bed, not up and down, but if you kind of
regular activity.
If you get a little wild on the bed, it's not going to be a problem for the Orgone pad.
And just again, the Orgone comes in the queen and the king sizes. The Orgone biomat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so.
And the bioacoustic comes in a professional and in the full.
Okay. That's awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's been really fun going over all this stuff with you. I know there's so much more we can talk about. We'll have to get together again, go over some more stuff about the crystals, and maybe we could even do a little demo session on one of the pads.
Yeah.
And if there are any questions, please feel free to let us know. If you're watching the replay, let us know that you made it all the way through. And is there anything else that you want to add?
Just so happy that we're doing this together.
Oh, yay! Okay, bye.